Hey, and welcome back to another episode. We're finally hitting the ice, hopefully tomorrow. It's pretty cold, minus 35 right now, and it's supposed to get a bit colder. Might get out, we might not. But we're here at the lake. I got everything. We've had a request for an updated ice fishing gear video. I'm gonna do that today. It's changed a lot since my last one, which was about 4 years ago. I've got a lot of different stuff and changed my ways of fishing a lot. I'm going to show you all my gear and kind of show you how I use some of it. I got my sleigh, which I use to pull all my stuff out onto the ice if I'm walking. If I'm using the truck, I don't really need it as much, but there's some fishing spots where I do have to walk to the spot. Well, that's when I use that. My pail of scoopers. I got a big one, and then I got this one that I use for like fine slush to get it out of the hole. I used to just have this one, but I realized that a lot of the fine slushy stuff goes through these larger holes. So then I got this one, which I just kind of use at the end or when I'm actually caring how much slush is in the hole. If I'm using tip-ups, I don't really worry too much about it. Then I got a couple rod holders that I use for sticking in the snow and having a rod in there. I also have this one that I use in my shack because you don't need to stick it in the snow. It just sits and then the rod sits in here and kind of handy. This is my bait. I just happen to have it out defrosting for tomorrow. This is what I use on my tip-ups. They're smelts. These ones are called Green Label and it looks like they come from Rhode Island. Not sure what the deal is. Not for human consumption. Sardine smelts. So that's what I've always used. I get them at the co-op gas station and they work good. I run them on my tip-ups, which I'm going to show you in a minute. Pail, that's also a seat. I actually acquired that pail. There was a gentleman that was at a fishing tournament and he needed a ride. So he asked me if I could give him a ride. And I said, yeah, absolutely. So he threw his stuff in the back and I gave him a ride up to the top of the hill to his truck where he was parked, and he grabbed all his gear out of the back, or at least he thought he did. And I got back home and realized he forgot his pail, but never got a chance to get the guy's name or anything, so no way to really return it to him. If you're watching and you want it back, there it is. Yeah, so I just kept it. I don't know who the guy was. Just some guy at an ice fishing tournament. And then I got a milk crate here full of propane, which I use for my small buddy heater that I heat my shack with. And I also have a torch head on one of the bottles. I always bring a torch head just in case you need to start a fire, dry something out, something froze up. I don't know, I can think of 1,000 reasons, but I'm not going to list them all. Fish TV, which is an old fishing camera that I had as a child with my dad, and I'd like to get a newer one someday, but I just never have, and that's the one I still use. It's not the best thing on the market, but that's what I got. And then I got two 12-volt booster packs. They're for boosting cars, but I use them to run my Fish TV. They're better than bringing a 12-volt battery, and they're rechargeable, and they last for years. I've had these ones for 5 years, and I can run my Fish TV off one for 3-4 days without having to recharge it. They're awesome. Then I got the buddy heater, which is a small propane heater that's safe to use inside. When it senses too much carbon monoxide in the air or whatever, it'll automatically shut off, which it has done. So I know that it works. And then I got my tackle box, which I am going to open up and show you that, but not quite yet. Next, I got my pick, which I use to open up holes that freeze off and to check ice conditions. Very handy tool for checking ice conditions on early season. Auger, I got two. I got a manual auger and a gas auger. The gas auger is obviously the best. This one is a Jiffy Model 30 ice drill. It's quite old. I got it when I was 19 years old and I'm 31 now, so I've had it quite a while. It's been good to me. It's starting to get old and giving me grief, but I had it tuned up again and I'm going to try it again. I always have a manual one just in case because there's been times I can't get that one to work and it sucks when you can't fish. So I can always drill a hole with that and it's really not that bad. I've drilled lots of holes with it and it's not a big deal. I got my bibs. When it's cold out I wear. When it's not cold out, which is anything above minus 18, usually I won't bother. But if it's below -18, then yeah, I probably will. And then I got my jacket, same one I've always had. My shack, it's a Eskimo Fatfish 949, non-insulated pop-up shack. I've had it for 5 years now, I think. And it's starting to get a bit weathered, but it still works great. And it's actually been good. I would recommend if somebody wants an affordable ice shack, there it is. If you got a little extra money, get the insulated version. It's better. I've seen them. And they are better, but they're more money, so I don't have one. Only other thing is my boots. And then I'm going to get to the rod bag, which has all my fishing rods and tip-ups in it, and then tackle box. I got a jaw jacker. I don't know if you all know what a jaw jacker is, but this is one. It holds all up nice for transportation, but it sits in front of your hole, like your hole would be right here, and this is your jaw jacker. Your rod goes in here, and then there's a little thing you put on the end of your rod, and you hook it to here, and then the jaw jacker just sits there and holds the rod. And if a fish bites it, it'll release and pop the rod up to set the hook. It's kind of a neat tool if you want a YouTube jaw jacker. There's millions of videos and it'll explain exactly how it works. They're pretty handy. I've had mine for 3 years and I've caught quite a few different fish on it. Some pike, some trout. It's pretty good. I like it. I'd recommend it. You can make them too. Here's my first tip up. This is a tip up I've had for about 5 years. Just a cheap tip up I bought at Canadian Tire or Walmart. I can't remember which one, but one of the two. And it's just your basic old, it's been around for years style tip up. I always run the double treble harness style. The Predator rigs are the best ones. This one's not a Predator rig. It's just a, I don't know, some other kind, but that's what it looks like. And I just put the schmelts there that I showed you, and I hook one treble into the head and one into the middle of the back, and then the bait just suspends there like kind of natural looking. And I always run my tip ups with a leader. A lot of guys don't. They just tie the rig right to the black line. I don't believe in it. I've tried it and I don't like it. So I run a braided leader. And I see this one's frayed. So we'll leave this tip up out. And tonight I'll fix it. But for those of you that haven't seen a tip up, it just sits in a hole, goes in like this, into the hole. And this thing, you just want it not quite to the bottom of the hole, but close. And then this, it used to have a flag on it, and I just got a bell on there so I can hear it when it goes off, but it just goes like that. And then you can hook it. There's either a soft hook or a hard hook. One's just a deeper groove than the other, and it'll be harder to set it off in the deeper one. I usually do run it in the more sensitive one, like that. And then when a fish comes and grabs it, it just spins the spool and sets it off just like you just seen. So yeah, see, just like that. And then your bell makes a racket and you know you got something. You can always hear that sound out on the ice. And then I got another tip up, which is the same design as that one except slightly different. They call this one the bone because it's shaped like a bone. It's a newer one. It works exactly the same as that one. It's actually called the dog bone, spelled D-A-W-G, bone. And it's the same thing. Over the hole, down, set this in. There's a soft and hard, and same thing. Spin the spool, it goes off. My rods, I got 3 rods, I believe. This one has very light line on it. I use it for trout. It's just a smaller rod, kind of rigid, and I use it for trout and other small kind of fish. It's a pretty good rod. I've had it for a long time. That's all I ever use it for, is that. This is just kind of a spare rod. I use it sometimes just in one of those stands on the ice or whatever. I don't really use it much. It's a spare. It's got not bad line on it. I think it's light line too. And then I got this one, which I got braided line on, and I use this for northern pike. It's a bit of a heavier duty rod, and I got a swivel on the end, and I put spoons and other things on it, and I also got the little hooky thing on there for the jaw jacker. And that's the thing that you hook in the end of the jaw jacker, and then the rod will be like this, and when the jaw jacker goes off, it sets it off and hopefully hooks the fish. In this side, I just got a bunch of line and extra rigs for the tip-ups. Some extra tip-up line, some extra braided line, more tip-up rigs. Tackle box, there's some stuff in here, that is for summer fishing. I had some comments on my old ice fishing video showing my ice fishing gear. Explain to me how you could use a topwater frog for ice fishing, and here it is. It's still in there. I've never used it for anything. I don't even know why I have it, but there it is. I'm aware that some of this is not used for ice fishing. I do have some rattlers that I've used often for ice fishing. Rattle and wrap. And spoons, I've used them lots for ice fishing. They do work. Anybody that says they don't is wrong. I've caught lots on spoons. Ice fishing too. And then I got all my PKs up here. This shouldn't say all, I don't have that many, but these little PK lures, very handy little guys for ice fishing. Perch, trout, they love them. Northern pike like these Swedish pimples. I got a few different colors. I use those for ice fishing all the time. I got a little thing for cutting line. When I'm tying it, I can cut the extra. You just put the line in there and squeeze it. It has a razor blade in it. It's good. I got extra bells for my tip-ups. An old nail clipper that I use for cutting line. Some weights. A whole bunch of swivels, barrel swivels. Pickerel rigs, not so much for ice fishing, more summer. I got a knife sharpener. I've got 2 knives in here that I use. I got, this is all my stuff for trout I use ice fishing. They're just small little hooks, jigs, tungsten, miscellaneous jig heads, couple J hooks, all stuff I use for ice fishing trout and perch. I got a bunch of small spoons, but we're going to be after northern pike tomorrow, and I usually just run tip-ups for northern pike. Yeah, that's about it in there for ice fishing. That's some floating. This is both my summer and winter fishing, so I had some floating rigs in there. I gotta use that lots in the summer. I've caught lots of northern pike. My dad bought me this. It works great. Leaders, again, more for summer fishing. I don't really run leaders ice fishing, so jaw spreaders. I use these to get the hooks out, to retrieve the hooks. When the pike swallow the tip-up rig, you just put this in their mouth, and it's way easier to get the hook out. You can definitely get it out easier without killing the fish. I do a lot of releasing of my fish, so I like to make sure that you're not doing too much damage. That tool really helps. So anyway, that pretty much concludes the ice fishing gear video. I'm gonna let you go, and I thank you all for watching, and I hope that if you haven't already subscribed to my channel that you do. Comments, questions, suggestions, general conversation, post it below. Thanks for watching.